Without further delay, let's get right over to it. We're going to take a look at what I talked about yesterday. So remember yesterday I said was a very pivotal day. The prior day, it doesn't look big here, but we had seen a big reversal candle. The chart here on the SPY, or the S&P 500, had opened on Wednesday, right? It had opened above this key resistance area right here, and it had closed back below. Now, when you think about a technical indicator or a chart pattern, that is very important, especially after such a huge move to the upside. In other words, to simplify it, we had a huge move up. The markets opened above resistance, thinking they could break out, and instead it was pummeled to the downside. And by the end of the day, we had a reversal day closing back below resistance. Now, this is the kicker. Yesterday, so that was on Wednesday. Coming into Thursday yesterday, we talked about how you needed to see follow through for the bears to continue. So the bulls were in charge all the way up here, even with the gap up, and then the bears took control on Wednesday with the reversal day. Now the kicker is this, right? It's like a soap opera. What we saw yesterday was initially great selling. The tech stocks were getting pounded. The bulls were running for the hills, and the bears were in control. But then, late in the day, and this is like, again, this is like some suspense thriller when you're coming to the charts. Late in the day, we saw this massive buy program come into the S&P 500. I'm going to flip over here, guys. Take a look. This is the 10-minute chart of the S&P 500, and look at what happened. So S&P was down all day, down, little bit of a bounce, retraced, and then boom, to the upside. And amazingly, the bulls were able to wrestle control away to back into control of the markets. Now again, yes, technology was still down. We certainly are seeing some rotation in capital, but ultimately this rally here puts it back into the court of the bulls being in control of the S&P and the NASDAQ versus the bears. Now, I did just tell my traders out there on the trading floor that there is one scenario where the bears could come back today and wrestle control back going into next week. To do that, what needs to happen? If we flip back to this chart, we would have to have a close on the S&P 500 back at yesterday's low or below. Okay, so again, if you're looking for how to view the market on a technical basis going into next week, being today's Friday, look for that. If we close down a little bit but not at the lows, bulls still have control. If we close at the lows from yesterday, essentially negating that entire late day rally, then you talk about now the bears maybe are coming back in and taking control. All right, so I really wanted to cover that because these are the little things as a technical trader that honestly are unbelievably important to view. You have to know who's in control, which angle is the prominent angle to the market. Is it further upside or is it downside now? Markets are extended, no one's arguing that. But again, doesn't mean markets pull back when they're extended. I've seen markets go much, much further to the upside than this even. But again, the bulls are kind of trying to maintain control. The bears are trying to fight back and get control. Let's keep rocking and rolling. I wanted to touch on Nvidia here, guys. Nvidia did get hammered yesterday. Beautiful drop. Again, did the chart kind of signal that this was the likely highest probability outcome? The answer is yes. Simply put, trend line to trend line, parallel lines, by the way, perfectly parallel lines going all the way back. And we know we hit it here and pulled back, hit it here, pulled back. So what do you expect, right? Again, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're looking at history and saying, every time this line hits, it pulls back. Hits, pulls back. So what do you expect here? Pull back, right? That's really all you're doing here. You're just looking at this and saying what usually happens at this level, and ultimately that seems to be happening. Now, again, one thing to keep an eye on here is basically you also have a secondary parallel right here, right? And here's your middle point right here. So this is going to be support around 425, 420 if we continue down. If that breaks, then you start going to this middle parallel here at around 370. And then if that breaks, eventually there's a gap fill around 300. Again, I've said this to you guys many streams. Nvidia is crushing it right now, but just like Tesla, the competition is coming, right? Think about this. Tesla, we know, had amazing cars a few years ago that there was no competition that could come close. Now you have serious competition, and that's causing them to drop their prices. Their margins are going down. Same thing will happen to Nvidia. It may take a year or two, but it will happen, and eventually Nvidia will come down and at least fill this $300 gap. Question is how long, right? And that I honestly don't know. 6 months, a year, 18 months, we will find out.